Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. I am Gregory, and this is 1 in 20 D&D, and here we are with another special session recap. This is for session 25, which is a huge milestone, I think, and
Crazy.
it is. And I have a fantastic guest with me this evening. We have Morgan, who plays Perdita, and I feel like I should be saying Leona.
Leona, yeah.
Leona? Is that how I was gonna ask?
Li yeah, Leona. I wrote
Leona.
down a pronunciation
I
for
like
myself
that
so I
even
wouldn't
better.
forget.
Nice. All right, so we'll get into that in just a moment. What happened to Perdita? I'm sure that you can probably guess if you've been following along. So, super quick, what happened? We we left Handle. The group left Handle early in the morning, like before sunup. Perdita kicked us all out of bed. Jermaine is drunk. He's not hungover, because that would suggest that he kind of got sleep and just feels yucky and crummy. But no, he
Not enough
actually,
time has passed.
yeah, not enough time has passed for him. I'm thinking he came in somewhere between midnight and 2 and got woken up at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
That's fine.
So, and he was still pretty well into his cups. Not like blackout gone, but pretty darn drunk. So not feeling so great on the road. And three of our party members are like, I almost want to say morose, but they're not. They're just like brooding. They're dealing with their stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And so Marana, Lily, and Pyre are just like totally to themselves. And right away, I think Perdita got hit with the fact like, holy crap, we're actually going to Cathal, and what's going to happen? So you had
Yeah,
her
it was a combination of stress from everything that's happened in Handle and
right.
anxiety about going to Cathal.
Right, exactly. And Jermaine, of course, has no idea what happened with the ladies on the day that he went and kind of did his poking around and roaming and researching, and then of course getting good and drunk in the evening. So he has no idea. He needed a day to clear his head. Has no idea what happened, and because he's still kind of dealing with the guilty feelings, or the stress of again, like seeing another one of and another one of us falling in combat again.
Two
It's like,
times.
yeah, twice in the same combat. Even
Yeah.
it's starting to kind of it's kind of stressing Jermaine out, and so he needs to clear his head. He does that. So that's our last session. Everybody's reeling. Marana's dealing with all her stuff with her ex-parents, I guess, and
That sounds right.
Roanna, and then Lily, who has kind of undergone a little bit of a transformation, and of course, player knowledge was there when Pyre burned down the damn, you know,
Character
house,
knowledge. Yeah.
right? Player knowledge, character knowledge. So, and Pyre dealing with being faced with like she's like a step closer to getting answers, but still doesn't really have any answers. It's like all she has is like this stuff from herself and from her family, and how heartbreaking would that be, and aggravating, and thus, of course, her reaction. So we're on the way to Cathal. Get about halfway there. There's this little town that we're getting ready to, thinking we're going to camp at Litwell. On the way, Jermaine is like done with being sick. He's like, this is ridiculous. We all have just leveled up. So for me, it was just, as a player, it was just kind of a silly, fun reveal of, hey, guess what, guys? I picked up Greater Restoration.
Yeah.
And so Jermaine cast that on himself to just get rid of all the funk, because he was in a
Yeah.
horrible mood. He was feeling absolutely miserable physically. He's like, this is ridiculous, and so he handled it with magic. So that was kind of cool. Then, feeling a little better, he tried to kind of strike up some conversation and get, tell a little tale about what the heck he was doing the day before, and try to find out from all you ladies what was going on with all of you, to which everybody was kind of very dodgy and avoiding the
I have
topic
no idea what you're talking
altogether.
about. I,
Right.
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
What are you talking
It was
about?
kind of a boring day, right? So,
Yeah.
to which he is extremely suspicious, but willing to let it slide. Uh, and so we come over the rise of a hill, seeing smoke in the distance, and of course, expecting there to be a hill. Sorry, not a hill. They're expecting there to be a town coming up, but find when we go over this hill that the town is actually on fire. So, Perdita kind of takes the lead and charges down. The rest of us right on her heels, and we
Always
all,
rushing it.
yeah, of course, we all kind of go rushing in to see if we can help. Now, story wise, this was important because we ended up fighting some salamanders, which again, player knowledge, character knowledge. Our characters have not encountered anything like this, but they are from the elemental plane of fire. We kind of quickly deduce that these are not supposed to be here. They're tearing up. They're torching this city or this town. This village really.
Yeah.
Let's get like we got to deal with this right away. The 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 leader of this village is kind of the head of the church, the priestess of the church.
Mhm.
So she kind of thanks us, and some of the farmers put us up for the night. She kind of talks to some of the townspeople. Jermaine had asked her, did anyone see anything? Where did they come from? That kind of thing. She gave us a little bit of info. The combat was pretty dicey for me too. Again, because we go into the combat and Lily immediately gives you Shield of Faith to boost your
Which did
AC.
nothing for me though,
It
because
was
I
just,
kept getting critted on,
I
and then
know,
the
right?
flames from hitting it. So
Right, exactly. It was
very
character
good.
wise, it was brilliant, but
Yeah,
mechanics wise, it was kind of worthless,
yeah.
unfortunately. But it was
Unfortunately,
brilliant. I love that Lily did that, or that Tracy had Lily do that, and then. Jermaine is kind of feeling the same way. I think we both, seeing you go down twice, being at this point, since Titus is no longer with us, you are our tank. Unless Jermaine is Jermaine
yeah.
in game terms, in video game terms, we would call Jermaine the off tank, right?
Right.
So, because
And
he
I have
can,
shitty constitution,
but
so
he's
it's
yeah,
just
and I'm in the same boat, or Jermaine is in the same boat.
yeah.
He's got. I think his constitution is also a 12, so we both get the
8.
+1, which is nothing when you're trying
Yeah.
to be a meat shield. So, uh, so yeah, but you have this ridiculous armor class, which is fantastic.
Yes.
'Cause I think
22.
yeah, and I think Jermaine is only at 17 or 18. He might be 18 right now, which is
Yeah.
decent. Actually, it's pretty damn good. But compared to
Yeah.
22, there's a big
But
jump
what's a
right there.
22 when the DM crits on you
Yeah,
nearly every
two or
single
three
time?
times, right? So
'Cause
that
it
sucked.
happened like 3 times in this combat,
Uh
and it's
huh.
happened like 3 times in all of the past 3 combats that we've had.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's just a lot.
Yeah, it's been crazy lately, but it makes the game exciting.
Yeah,
Uh,
it actually does.
and so we had a little fun with Jermaine giving you the polymorph and turning you into a giant ape instead of himself, which was
I
kind of
regret not throwing a salamander in the
yeah,
air.
I know, right? Well, my thought. So I thought that would have been cool, but at the same time, I'm like, well, when he was a giant ape, he threw a goblin, which technically is a
Mhm.
small creature, and that like a
Right,
two size difference, from
right.
large to small.
It's nice
The
and easy.
salamanders were also large, so I don't know how
Yeah,
you probably could have thrown it, but how far would have been
right,
like me throwing you or you throwing me or something like that,
right.
right?
It's better to just pop them on the head like Buddy
Yeah,
Poof. Buddy
right.
Poofy.
It was still pretty fun, and just
Yeah,
again another fun kind of character moment. I thought,
yeah. It was
personally,
very cool.
yeah, and we found out somewhat ineffective. They appear to be resistant to non magical damage, so that was kind of a bummer. But it was still the main point was Jermaine felt like he probably wouldn't be the target, so it'd be easier for him to
Right.
maintain concentration and have all those massive hit points because you are already
Yeah.
way down
I
on
was
hit points.
down to like 18.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like I was like, oh my gosh, one more good hit or two and she's gonna go down again.
Hey, who's
So
gonna die before Cathal?
right. So that would have been
Was
terrible.
my thought process at that time. I was like, oh, I'm gonna die before I get to the story.
Yeah, that would be wonderful before your big
But
story moment. So we handle the salamanders, spend the night in town to make sure nothing else crazy happens. Get a little bit of info from the head of the city the next morning, and then head to Cathal, which turned out to be huge. One thing, the main reason we were there, of course, was that we had been asked by the Vactair, who had been asked by the
Council
Council
of the
of
Arcane.
the Council of the Arcane. Thank you. The Council of
Yeah.
the Arcane from Cathal requested our presence because they wanted to speak with us about all these crazy experiences that we keep having. Because we are like firsthand witnesses, plus we're quote unquote experts or something, I guess, at this point, or we're becoming experts for sure.
Yeah.
So we had an interesting conversation with, of course, Burrell, who is the leader of the council, and the other council members, of course, also present. But he was more or less the headpiece or the mouthpiece
Yeah.
of the
He's the
group.
only one who talked. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we kind of shared, the I should mention because you did play it that way during the game, and you and Mark both made a point of it, is that the closer you were getting to uh, both the city of Litwell, or sorry, the village of Litwell, but also as you kept getting closer and closer to Cathal, it was like you were getting these like stronger senses of deja vu and like this
Yep.
feeling of like I've been here before, all right, this place seems familiar and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
There's one specific town hamlet that we
oh,
passed through, and Mark was like, "This feels like Unity to you." So
yeah,
you
like
remembered the fun of
home.
it. So
Yeah. Oh, see, that's interesting because I thought it was actually Litwell.
no, no, it
Okay,
was
so
after we left Letwell. It
oh, that's
was
right. It was the
yeah,
next
it was right
day.
after we talked about the Black Ravens going down to the waste.
Perfect. Perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay, so oh yeah, okay.
So deja vu, stressed.
So that oh that's right. So wait, after dinner I forgot. I should have mentioned that. After dinner,
Yeah.
Jermaine brought the conversation back up again about like hey, what happened yesterday because he got some pretty good intel. It wasn't like
Yeah.
anything major, not like game-changing stuff. It was
Right.
more like he made two really good connections, at least as
Hmm.
far as Gregory's concerned. And this was cool
Yeah.
because Mark and I discussed, like, okay, I was missing a session, right? So
Yeah.
where Lily did this beautiful kind of monologue for us that she wrote, which was phenomenal way back when at like session whatever it was, 5 or 8 or whatever it was. Um, Jermaine, I decided that well, Jermaine is gonna because I'm like, okay, I don't want them to have Jermaine tagging along. The NPCing a character is always a bummer. Whether I'm the
Right.
DM and I'd rather not, or if I'm a player, I'd rather not. Sometimes it has to happen, but I figured,
Right.
what could I do
Like
to get him
session.
out of the action? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Like this session with Pyre, because Courtney was gone.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, okay, we have to do it, but at the same time, it's kind of a bummer. So, but it didn't. There was no other way to do it because she's going with us, right? So she had to be part of it. So for Jermaine, since we were in Handle, I'm like, okay, this is a perfect character moment for him. He is dealing with all this stress. He needs to go do this. So Mark sent me. He's like, what would Jermaine be looking for? Because I told him, hey, I want to do this. I need to go by. I need to go back to the church, to the
Hmm.
temple, because I need to like he needs to see it and kind of process. He's not gonna go in or anything. Like he just wants to like stand outside and like kind of let his mind wander. But then he
Sure.
wants to start poking around town and seeing who he can find. Another bard, maybe one he
Hmm.
knows, maybe somebody he's just met. And so that was cool. So Mark gave me this interesting. He wrote out. He just, you know how he is. He just
Yeah.
like his mind just went off, and he wrote out like a full page or something of what Jermaine experienced. And so he wanted to relay this to the group because he felt like some of it's important, and I haven't revealed some of it because some of it is going to come up I think in other character moments that I would like to have.
Right.
of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, some stuff that he got some information where it's like he was asking questions and the answers that he got, it's not necessarily that important for everyone to know, but he might want to
Right.
discuss with one or two members of the party. So we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes. So
That makes sense.
that was at night. Thanks. So that was at night in Litwell. Leave
Yep.
the next morning. Get to Cathal. Perdita's kind of a little, again, she's kind of like not herself a little bit, understandably. She's been
Feel
fidgeting
like
with
I'm gonna
her.
be
You feel like what?
like she felt like she was gonna be sick just from nerves.
Yeah, exactly. And it was at least to Jermaine because hey, we're becoming best buds, right? So Jermaine is just like at this point, if you're off, Jermaine is. I think Jermaine is pretty clued into like, whoa, something's up with Perdita.
Yeah.
So he kind of was like he offered like, well, maybe I should take the lead here. Let me try, which I thought
Yes,
was kind of
please.
neat. Yeah, and so I had Jermaine share the information with Burrell. Marana jumped in when it was appropriate, which she's so good about that. I mean, I just
Yeah.
absolutely love how TBQ does that. She's got such a incredible mind, TBQ.
Yeah.
She's so crystal clear, and she has such a clear vision, I want to say, for Marana. Like
Yeah.
she just knows Marana so well and how
Mm.
Marana is going to act and react in given situations. It's always brilliant to me. I'm always beside myself at like, wow, how did she do that? Um,
Yeah.
and that there was a moment with you that came up after this. So we have this talk with Burrell. They don't really share any information with us yet, but Jermaine is definitely going to be asking questions big time
Right.
the next time we get to meet with them. And then we kind of get dismissed. We get shown to some rooms where we can stay. And Jermaine wants to go out and check out this beautiful elven city. He's like, he's
Yeah.
beside himself, like, oh my God, can we get this over with so I can go and take a look and poke around? But you and I kind of go for a walk. Miranda does her thing, scouting out the place that we're going to be staying.
Hmm.
Pyre and Lily kind of keep to themselves in their room, essentially.
Yeah. Lily went to check in on Pyre.
Right.
Watch in next week.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm curious to see how that conversation goes. That'll be
Yeah.
neat. Lily, the day after we left Litwell, was wearing her armor, which was super
Yeah.
cool, and I thought it was super cool that none of us made a big deal about it.
Mm.
Like we're all like you said it, I said it, and Marana said we're all kind of like we're all just kind of smile or happy, but like don't say a word to Lily. We're just like it's perfectly normal,
Yeah.
which was very cool.
Yeah.
So then you get the bomb dropped on you.
Yeah.
Burrell,
Which we knew was coming.
of course.
Also.
Well, so now I didn't. So for whatever reason, Gregory had forgotten
Mm.
that Burrell was the other son of the elder. I
Yeah.
know we had figured that out at some when you and I were doing the
Like
research.
10 sessions ago. Yeah.
Yeah, way back.
It's been a while.
Right, we were in Unity. We kind of poked around and did some
Yeah.
question find or fact
Yeah.
finding. You,
I
you
went to the Alvin. Uh, it's the word.
Oh, that's right. You went to the
Yeah.
embassy.
Embassy.
Jermaine didn't help you with the embassy. He
No.
he just had the conversation with you about like, hey, what happened and
Right.
what did you
Yeah.
find out?
Because
Perfect.
embassy was right after the meeting, the lunch
Yeah.
meeting with
Yeah.
Harrison,
Exactly. Okay. So,
which I have thoughts about
it,
having gone back and reread that, but we will talk about that later.
yeah. So Jermaine, so Gregory in the game, I was not even occurring to me that Burrell could possibly be Parrish's father.
Yeah.
Jermaine probably would have known this, so I'm a little bummed about that. But maybe I'm
Mm.
thinking right now in this moment, I'm thinking like, okay, well, it makes kind of some sense that he's like so overwhelmed with what's been going on in our group, as well
Right.
as uh, again the guilt from nearly killing Lily himself because
Yeah.
he got control. I mean, that's really messing with Jermaine, big
Yeah.
time.
Oh, absolutely.
So for a
Agency is a
couple
big
of
thing
reasons.
for everybody.
So I should share this. So there's a couple of reasons that's messing with Jermaine. Number
Sure.
one, he obviously he cares for Lily and the whole
Right.
crew, right? He'd die for any of you guys right now. That's how he feels. So for her to die at his hands, like he did something wrong
Yeah.
directly, like it's the same helplessness that he experienced with Xavier, of like
Yeah.
you're on the battlefield, you see your best friend die, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So
Yeah.
it's the same kind of feeling, but not only that feeling of helplessness and but Jermaine it has access to some of those same abilities.
Right.
So there's this moral dilemma for Jermaine,
Hmm.
and it was very
Yeah.
interesting because when Jermaine used suggestion on the aide in the
Yeah.
temple, Marana
Well, TBQ asked.
TBQ asked, and Marana didn't see or didn't know what Jermaine did. And as a player, that was really interesting to me because now it immediately made me go like, oh my god, well, what would Marana think of this, of
Right.
Jermaine doing that to someone? Like, how would she
Yeah.
feel about that? And Gregory thinks like, oh, Marana would probably not like that.
Yeah.
And-
That's a loss of agency on any character's part, essentially.
well, especially with Marana and Lily,
Yeah. And
right?
both of them having a history of sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
a loss of agency is huge.
Well, and slavery.
Yep.
I mean, Marana's slavery was way different than Lily's, but it's I mean, they both
Yep.
experienced it,
Yeah.
right?
They both experienced slavery and sexual assault within their past history, within the past 5 years.
Exactly. So it's this tool in Jermaine's belt. He hadn't used it up until that moment. That was the first time I've had it for a long time, but
Right.
it never came up in the game for there to be a
Right.
reason for him to use it. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until this moment of like, this dude is being impossible. Let's just get this over with. It was almost a
Yeah.
moment of frustration on Jermaine's part of like, okay, I can't seem to get through to this guy. Let's figure out what's going on. But it was because his mind was wiped. He didn't even even if he wanted to
Yeah.
answer, he didn't have the answers.
Yep.
So yeah, so Jermaine is having that moral dilemma, and then dealing with the guilt, and then this. So Jermaine is out of it,
Yeah.
and
All of us are out of it.
Burrell comes up to us and is like, "May I have a word with you in private?" So all right. So now I'm gonna shut up for a bit. I want to hear from
Oh
you.
boy.
What what was going on up to Cathal, and then specifically, what did you experience talking with Burrell and finding out this is your dad, or this is
Okay.
Peridot's dad?
Um, it was a little bit of anticipation
Yeah.
on both of Peridota and my part, just because Eveningfall having been linked back to the Elder of the Elves, which sits in Cathal, and I've been avoiding that for 10 sessions. Um, Going to Orison and to Falkirk and just trying to like not sure what to do with it, and having like avoided it
Was she avoiding
because
it?
a little bit, yeah. She wasn't
Really?
sure what she was gonna find
Okay.
or if what she found was gonna be shitty. Um,
I
and
see.
maybe there was a reason that she had been lost.
I see.
Um, and so it was, yeah, it was just anticipation and nerves bundling and bundling and bundling, and then this deja vu of like, oh, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I recognize that house, but I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just literally was just a bundle of nerves. And even when I listened back to all of this, I still like knowing the ending. I still am like a bundle of nerves of like, oh god, there's still so much we have to talk about.
Dude, she just met her dad. Like, I can't. I'm sure I
Like it's
can,
cool,
but it's challenging to imagine what that would be like.
right? Yeah. Um, yeah, she's had a father figure essentially her whole life with
Sure,
Craig.
sure, of course.
It's totally different going, oh no, you missed me and
Yeah.
wanted me and didn't know what happened to me. And that's been a lot of my thought process over the last couple of days is like thinking on his side of 13 years, has no idea what happened to
Yeah.
his partner and child,
Yeah.
and had sent us away so that we could all be together. And then he never heard from us again.
Right. Like how I
Um,
mean as a dad, I can only imagine. I mean I don't want to imagine. I can and I
right.
don't like to. I think about it. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean he's must.
And then
Ger-
to see us come in to recognize me, but I don't recognize him.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's got to be a little heartbreaking. I'm sure.
Uh, yeah. But knew when Mark said an elder Burrell will meet you and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh, I recognize that. That's the name of
Mm-hmm.
the other son.
Mm-hmm.
And he had me roll an intelligence check, which here did I failed, which is fine.
Okay,
It's
sure.
probably where she was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Burrell introduced himself during the council session, and my head literally just went, oh, because he's a I'm Burrell Evening Fall, and literally just I went down, and Mark chuckled because he saw me do that
Oh
while he was
God.
talking.
Did he say Burrell Evening Fall? Because I don't remember that.
He
Okay.
does.
Okay. Okay.
I've listened. Oh, I've listened to this past session a lot. It's bad.
You're so funny. I know. I listen to it
Uh,
at least once, and sometimes I have to go back and listen to a section like two or three times, of course.
I've listened
But
to the end session, the end of the session, the last 10 minutes where it's just Brill and
yeah,
I talking
yeah,
like, 20 times
yeah.
for sure. And I listened the last 2 days to the entirety of the session like 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
I
that's
a little obsessive.
yeah,
Anyways,
it's good stuff.
but so going into and Burrell runs into you in the hallway, and I'm like, oh god, we're actually gonna talk because up until that point, Perdita flops down on a bed, just overwhelmed, like,
Right.
oh god,
Yeah.
I know I need to talk with this dude. I have no idea what I'm gonna say. Like, hi, hello, have you been missing your daughter for 13 years? Do you know what this locket means? And like going, oh, I'm gonna have to request an audience with this guy, and that'll be fun. And then we run into him in the hall, um, which, yeah, you know what? That was a gift. Thank you, Mark, for that. I appreciate that.
So I can't believe it. Even when I listened to it again, I missed the name, and it just because I was sitting here asking
I was
myself,
focused on it. That's
yeah,
part
of
of it.
course, of course, of course, and
Yeah.
again, they'll probably. I mean, Jermaine is he obviously wants to be there for you in this, and at the same time, it's like his head has been swimming so much. Again, it kind of makes sense to me,
Yeah.
but reality is like it's Gregory. It's my fault because I was the one that forgot and it slipped my mind. And I can even listening to it a second time. I'm like, gosh, Perdita was or Morgan was so like forthcoming with the locket. It just surprised me. I'm like, wow, I wonder why she chose to like just come right out and like show that to Burrell right out of the gate. But now thinking about it, it like of course it makes absolute
Yeah.
perfect sense. Like she kind of has an idea like this dude really might know something about this. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
she be like, oh my god, please tell me what this
Yeah.
is?
His last name is Evening Fall, which is in the locket I've had for the last month
Yeah,
and a half.
yeah.
Because it's been a month and a half it's been like almost 2 months actually since we got Alduin and he gave me that. So
Wow,
it's been 2 months of like slowly figuring out clues.
that's amazing. I didn't even realize it had been that much time.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there was a lot of like sitting on it and thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it a lot.
Well, yeah, that's cool.
Obviously. But yeah, and then he says, you remind me of someone.
Right.
Straight so to the half elf with his red hair and heterochromia eyes and looks like her mother. I'm like, all right, well, you recognize me. That's huge. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna, you know what? You're gonna react to this either way. Lock it. Um, which got intense. And then I'm like, okay, how do I quickly explain everything that possibly happened in 13 years in under 10 minutes? Because we were in the last 10 minutes of
Mm-hmm.
game time. I'm like, all right. Yeah.
But that's so close to reality. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
uh, I mean that's just how often do you have those moments of where you're like, you
Yeah.
just want to spit it
Like,
all out
okay,
at
so
once.
a former member of the Bacteria turned bandit attacked a caravan that I had been a part of 13 years ago, and it exploded. And then I don't remember anything before that. And then I got picked up by the Bacteria, and I have been raised in Unity for the next 12 years. I have no idea. Huh.
That's pretty close. That
Yeah.
was pretty much
Uh,
how it came out.
yep. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so you sound mad. Let's get this out of the way. And then his tone like immediately shifts.
Uh-huh.
Um, and he tells Perdita essentially, uh, yeah, so I sent you away
Mm-hmm.
13 years ago, and I haven't heard from you since. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and it was neat how he said it without coming out and saying, you know, I'm your
right,
father. There was no this
right.
like there was no Darth Vader Luke Skywalker moment. It was
Yeah.
way subtle and so
Was
brilliant.
I typed because I'm a dork. I typed up that conversation
I
because I've
yes,
been listening to it too many
I
times.
can understand this.
Um, and he says, oh, that's the wrong one. Too many too many documents, because I've written like 5 different things within the last 3 days. Or yeah, he says, I gave this gift, this locket, to
Mhm.
the love of my life. I had to
Mhm.
send her away 13 years ago,
Mhm.
and I never heard from her again, or my daughter, and looks
Mhm.
at her.
Right. That
To
was
which I'm
so
like,
awesome.
hi, I don't know
Yeah.
how to react to this.
So okay. So there's two brilliant moments. These are my two favorite moments from this session. When you said hi to him, the way you said it was so it was just so it was so quintessentially Perdita to me, to Gregory. It was like, yes, this is exactly who this gal is. She's this like chipper, cheerful, powerful woman, young still. So she's still kind of finding herself, dude. I was crazy when I was 21. So she's still kind of
She's
oh,
25. Yeah,
whatever. I mean even at 20s,
yeah,
sorry,
20s.
25. Right, early
My age,
20s.
because I'm 24.
Right, exactly. So early 20s, rather. I was mid 20s. I was still a nut in my mid 20s. Hell, I was a nut. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. So here's this
Moving on.
gal who's like, she's just, and 25, actually, where she's at is critical because having lived through my 20s, for me, and for almost everyone I know that went through the same experiences, it's like somewhere between 25 and 30, there's this huge shift
Mm,
in your perspective of life.
sure.
And for me it was like 27 for sure. But somewhere in that range there, so she's on the cusp of that,
Right.
and then she's getting this huge bit of information, and so she's kind of like, she's a woman, she knows herself to a point,
Right.
and now she's getting this like huge reveal. The way you said, it almost seems like an insignificant thing, but me as someone who has studied film acting, love all of this. I've done little
Mhm.
bits of acting myself and little bits of like lessons and classes and reading of like how to be a good actor, love
Right.
improv, all of this stuff. This feeds
Yeah.
who I am, who Jermaine is, how I play Jermaine.
Yeah. That's why we
And
get
no,
along so well.
right, of course. And knowing what I know about you, Morgan, and your career, let's call it, and
Sure.
lifestyle and loves, it was so beautifully organic, spontaneous, and so perfect. It was just freaking perfect. The tone of your voice, the way, and Mark is great. He's so
Yeah.
easy to do these things, and everybody in
He's
our
really
group
good
too.
on top of. Yeah.
Yeah, the way,
Hi.
yeah, it was just I loved that moment. It was not all you said is hi, and I'm just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, that was awesome. Literally during the game, I thought, holy crap, that was awesome. Of course I kept my mouth shut, but then I'm listening to the recording, getting ready for doing this video, and it's the
Yeah.
same. It hit me again. I'm like, man, that was so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, it was cool.
Um,
It was
and then I
cool,
get my name.
and so not Elvin. Like here's Burrell, who's this elven elder on this council, kind of like a stiff shirt, right? And here's his daughter Perdita, who's like so quintessentially human, so
Been raised by
like
a halfling and a dwarf my entire life.
it's like you are so yeah, and that's the thing is like Perdita is this like perfectly worldly young woman, right? Can kind of fit in anywhere because she's been exposed to so much,
No.
and has this. She can be as prim and proper as the as a noble, and at the same time, will I think would just rib with the soldiers and the ruffians and
Yeah.
and throw down in a fist fight if it's needed. So
Yeah.
it's like
Just look from when we got locked up with the magistrate
right. That was
to
awesome, by the
uh,
way.
a thanks
Yeah. I
to
wish
last night when we were all talking together.
yeah. Well, I wish Gregory could play Jermaine that eloquently sometimes. Like I want to, I try to. I'm sure if I had like a script, I could play that
Right.
out. But one of the things so
Yeah.
you and TBQ to me are both so good at this stuff. Like the ability you guys have really quick minds and you're able to be spontaneous but so appropriate all the time, and
Right.
I really love it. Sincerely, it's amazing to me.
Thank
But
you.
yeah,
I have no idea what I'm doing 90% of the time, so I'm glad it
but
comes across well.
that's why it's fun.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
But you had it so well. Like Jermaine would not have an issue. Gregory would talk to a magistrate, but I wouldn't think to be like, Madam Magistrate, and like being very like
Yeah.
regimented in how you speak with her. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was
I
super
don't know
cool.
where that came from, but I think it's just a combination of reading
Mm-hmm.
a lot of like fantasy books and stuff, but
Yeah.
also keying into, oh, this is gonna go to shit if we don't
Yeah.
pay respect.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
anyways,
So then the second amazing moment, I sent you a message about it today because wow. Actually, I sent everyone a message about it today
yeah,
because wow, in the group. I just couldn't believe it when I heard it the second time. It didn't affect me the same the first time
okay.
as it did the second time. The second time I was just blown away.
What's my name?
Again, it was just so the delivery was delicious. It was just delicious. There's no other way to say it. It was just when I listened to it, I was like, oh, I just had this like ultimate like heart eyes, like just this explosion of
Yeah.
like, oh, that
Well,
was
because I was
so
literally,
cute.
I was honestly like kind of in tears personally at that
Cool.
point. So like,
It kind of sounded like it.
she's like, you're broken, I'm broken. I don't even know what you would call me.
But you know what's cool though? You two are see. I don't like the word broken.
Sure.
It's like a piece was missing.
Yeah. Well, broken in that moment,
Sure.
I guess is
Okay.
what I mean.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of wrecked in
Like,
the moment. Yeah.
yeah, we're both like,
What?
well, we're both here.
Like, what's going on?
What
Is this
what
even
does that mean?
happening? Yeah. That's cool.
What's my name?
It
I
was
haven't known my name for 12 years.
right. So, and we find out it's this lovely elven name.
Lyona, which means
It's
gift,
fantastic.
which is so much better than Perdita, which means lost.
Oh yeah, way better. But so Jermaine is so there'll be an interesting opportunity for you and I to
Yeah.
have our characters
Yeah, because you're waiting outside.
interact about this name now, because Jermaine is gonna be like, I mean, you're Perdita, but because
Right.
he loves you and respects you, he's gonna want to
Like,
say he's gonna want to respect what you like. Myself, I can totally relate to that because like my whole life, Greg, everybody called me Greg, like family,
mhm.
friends, everybody. I introduced myself as Greg, and then a while back, like 10-ish years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like a Greg. I really want to. I think Gregory is the name I should be using. Why am I not using? I like this name. And so I introduced myself as Gregory. I refer to
Yeah.
myself as Gregory. And it's fascinating if you study language and you study communication. You may know this.
Mhm.
You can tell a lot about a person by how they respond to your name
Yeah.
and how they use your name. If you introduce yourself as Morgan and people make some other they don't respond as Morgan, it's a little easier for you. You have a
I've
very
had Morgie. I've had Morgs.
uh-huh. So
Morg.
if they do it right away, it's weird. For me
Yeah.
it's different because it's like shortening it to Greg is a very common thing.
Right.
So but at the same time, if I introduce myself as Gregory,
Hmm.
generally speaking, it means prefer to be referred to as Gregory. And so I trip on this again. This is my geekness coming out. Like this is the kind of things that Gregory trips out on, is
Hmm.
because I see it with other people too, not just myself. My brother's Matthew. He prefers
Hmm.
Matt. You know, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to see when someone has that kind of a name how different people refer to him. Now I'm going to bring in
Right.
a Critical Role reference. I don't usually do this, but I really like how Liam plays Vax and how Vax talks to all of his friends who he loves
Hmm.
through nicknames.
Yes.
He has a nickname for each of them, and he has different nicknames for some of them, which
Yep.
I think is really neat.
Yeah.
It's like he he almost I can't say never because I'd have to go back and actually check, but it's like he almost never says their actual name,
Right.
which is so that's interesting. And I wonder, I would love to have a conversation with him. Like, is that a character choice, or is that
Right.
just Liam bleeding into Vax?
Right.
Because I know lots of people that are like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost become this little game too, because on some level, Pike has started doing the same thing, which is kind of
Right.
cool. So with us, I think in the
Yeah.
game, I'm thinking forward. Jermaine is
Hmm.
definitely of course, Gregory. I can't freaking wait for Jermaine to find out what you just found out.
Yeah.
It's
I've,
like
I've been
what
thinking
Parrot
about that a lot actually.
yeah, what Parrot just
Yeah.
found out.
Yeah.
It's
Because Mark and I are talking. We're role playing even more on Sunday.
right.
So we're going to record and put so everyone can hear it.
Yeah, this will be
But we're
fun.
like, we're not going to make everybody sit through an hour and a half of us just talking.
Yeah,
That sounds ridiculous.
I think it'll
So,
be sweet. I'll listen to it every minute of it
yeah.
whenever you
I
record.
mean, we just didn't want to do it in game when we were taking up
That's cool.
people's.
That's actually a really neat idea. Plus, it's a neat fill-in since we're off this weekend. For there's no game
Hmm.
this weekend. We gotta
And I
wait.
literally was dying. I'm like, I have to wait 2 weeks. Wait two
So
weeks to talk to this
yeah,
guy again? Are you
and,
kidding me?
and it's fun. I think it's kind of neat, and maybe we're starting a trend because I did that for Jermaine with his drunken speech to the bartender about
Yeah.
talking about his all his teammates that he loves.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed that.
yeah, it was just a fun exercise for Gregory,
Yeah.
a role playing exercise. That's all it was. It was just like, and here's how it happened. I was at work and I started talking to myself. Like I was thinking about like, well, okay, what is Jermaine doing? Why is he doing it? What do I need to ask Mark for the next game? And then I just started practicing. I like to practice the accent sometimes so that I can try to maintain it. And it's funny because it bleeds in. Well, I'm DMing on Monday nights. Like I keep
Yeah.
finding myself using Jermaine's accent unintentionally. I'm like, don't do that.
I would
and
do that. Yeah, I had a dwarf character for like the last year and a half.
right.
Switched out just because I was getting bored. But I would start going into her accent from time to time when I
Right.
was doing other characters, and I would go, "Oh no, I can't talk in that accent because that's not who this character is.
Right.
I'm not Kel, I'm Alex."
Yeah.
or
So I'm very
like
much looking forward to that conversation between you and Burrell, or between you and Mark, between Perdita, Leona, and Burrell.
yeah.
And
I
I'm
want to
dying.
know what the fuck the idea is.
You want to know what?
What the idea he has is, and
Mm.
why it's so important that now I'm here.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's super cool. I think it's like you just found out your dad is one of the coolest guys in the realm, you know? Or maybe not
He's
coolest, but I
he's
mean,
the heir to
fascinating.
the leadership of the
Second in
elven
line. That's
elven.
huge. You're freaking essentially a princess.
But like, I don't know if the elder knows about me or if he will want to know about me because I'm a half.
Oh, this is true. So there might be more strife and challenge. I'm sure there will be more challenge. Wait,
I thought about this a lot.
he already said it. Burrell said it. I had to, my father doesn't, and the elves don't, and I had. That's why I was sending you. So, oh my goodness.
So is he gonna
Ugh.
renounce his duties? Because now he has me again?
Would
Or is
Perdita
he
ask him to? Wouldn't
no?
Perdita seems the type that would be like, you stay here. We're gonna have a
Yeah,
relationship. You do your thing. I'll do you do you. I'll do me to be temporary. You know, you do
yeah,
you. I'll do me, and I'll come visit you. You come visit me. We'll
yeah.
know where
It's
each
all
other is.
gonna be dependent on his reaction.
Well, and
So
not only this, I just as again as a player, loving the geekness of the game. Like, how cool is it that you know Perdita is studying magic as she like fell into like, and Mark is brilliant in this,
yeah,
obviously, like because a lot of this is Mark, right?
yeah.
Perdita is a fighter who has,
Eldritch Knight.
excuse me, Eldritch Knight,
Eldritch Knight.
right? Exactly, fighter who uses magic as
Yeah,
the Eldritch Knight, to use game terms. So she's a fighter mage, fighter magic user in games terms, or as well. That's the old school way to say it. Not
sure.
quite a multi-class, not a fighter mage, but it's the fighter with magical abilities,
Yeah.
which is super cool. Like, damn, okay, and your
I'm
dad
like a
is,
Jedi. It's fun.
yeah, and your dad is like one of the, or Perdita, I keep saying you, of course. Perdita's dad's is one of the
It's
powerful mages in the realm. That's freaking awesome. And makes
yeah,
perfect sense. It's like, duh, no wonder she fell into magic. And how cool is it that now you can learn spells and stuff from him? So so I think that's awesome. But again, Greg, I'm geeking out for Jermaine and Perdita's conversation. I freaking can't wait.
yeah. Yeah, it'll be good. I've been thinking a lot about how I'm gonna be leading into that, so we'll
Hmm.
see how that goes.
And I already know it's like I think that's what he needs. That's what Jermaine needs.
Right.
As silly as it sounds, like seeing Perdita hopefully happy, at
Right.
least having an answer. I mean, knowing her name, knowing her dad. I mean, this is huge. This is like
Yeah.
monumental for Perdita. And
Yeah.
so,
Leona, Ilavella, Evening Fall.
oh my gosh, beautiful. So Jermaine is just, he's gonna be beside himself. He's total. I know already. But playing it out in character will be loads of fun. And how cool is that to look forward to? But
Yeah.
but then the other thing, and I would love. Let's end with this because uh it's fun to talk about the good stuff. I want to
Yeah.
talk about bad stuff for just a moment. Jermaine is concerned about Pyre and Marana
Yep.
because both of them, their eating habits are an indicator of
Yeah.
what's going on with them. At least that's how
Yep.
it seems from Gregory's
Uh,
perspective. And so
totally.
that's what I'm having. So Jermaine is keyed into that. Jermaine has started because obviously he cares about the whole group, but as I have said in other videos and as I said to her in game, he finds her very attractive. So
Yep.
he's slightly more
Right.
concerned about
Focused.
focus. That's a perfect word. Thank you. Slightly more focused as he is with Perdita
Yep.
because again, this is Perdita is like his
It's
best bud,
buddies.
right? I mean, she sincerely like,
Yeah.
and I shared it with you all in the game that in the evening in the tavern or the in the inn where
Mhm.
he said like, I must be the luckiest guy around because who would have ever thought that I could find someone so awesome again, like, you know.
Yeah.
So so Jermaine is sincerely concerned about Marana and
Yeah.
what's going on with her. he hasn't had an opportunity to try to like approach her of like, hey, are you all right? But
Yeah.
I'm
You also
concerned about her
don't.
and Pyre.
Yeah, he doesn't know everything.
Of course not.
We didn't tell him
He has
that,
no
hey,
idea.
Pyre and Lily went and burnt down the guild
Right.
hall.
So he has no idea why Pyre was a little like. See, I mean that threw him off a little bit. He might,
Yeah.
again, and he might actually, now that I'm pondering it, he might even think that she's feeling disappointed that we're not going straight for her
Right.
weapons or something like this, So that, but yeah, so Lily has had this upturn of like she's gotten some resolution. She's made
Mm-hmm.
it. There's a moment of like I would love to see her become this kind of like she's this spunky chick, right? That's who
Yeah.
Tracy plays her as, right? Which is super fun, and I would love to see her really fall into that more that of like she's still got stuff to deal with, obviously, right? This stuff is
Yeah.
lingering, and it comes up that it's just like anything. It's even once you think you've dealt with it, there's always another layer to the onion. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But on a surface level, Lily's good right now. Lily's
Yeah.
real good right now.
She gave me a mint rock. That was nice.
Yes, I can't wait I can't wait. I made a note to myself to ask her about that in the freaking game because that's like, how cool is that? And what the heck is that? Is that her? Is that her trinket? I'm trying to. Gregory is trying to
Yeah.
figure out. So,
It's the tiara of prestidigitation that she got. Because prestidigitation
oh
can do.
yes, you can flavor. I didn't put that together.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Tracy and I talked after
So
last week.
Jermaine is intrigued, and I can't. I
Yeah,
want to have a conversation with her about it.
it's
Uh,
gonna be a pretty full session next
Brilliant.
session.
Yeah, there's so much, and it's never gonna come all out in one session. There's
No,
too much. Who knows what'll
okay.
happen? We still have
Yeah,
to talk. I mean, they have to kind of tell us what's going on. I mean, I'm assuming they want us to help deal with something or investigate something, and by
right.
them I mean the council. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so that's where Jermaine is at. That's where I'm at. Gregory is at. Is like,
yeah.
can't wait to have this conversation with Perdita.
In limbo.
Kind of dreading a conversation with Marana and Pyre, but possibly needs to happen.
Right.
And at some point, at some point, Jermaine is probably. I'm gonna just share this because this is what the whole point of doing these videos is at some point, Jermaine. I've been thinking a lot about this. Is that Jermaine is probably gonna want to, once you've kind of settled back in and like you've gone through this transition for
Right.
and I keep saying you, I'm sorry, once Perdita has gone through
I
this
mean, I
transition,
refer to myself as Perdita
right?
the entire time, so just don't
Yeah,
worry
we
about
do it.
that.
I can't help it myself.
Yeah.
Once Perdita has gone through this transition,
Hmm.
there and I've just been, again, Gregory the player has been waiting for the right moment,
Hmm.
but Jermaine wants to have a conversation with you, but possibly also with Lily, with you. Again, I did it with Perdita, but also with Lily about like he's trying to understand Marana and doesn't, right? And so it's like, well,
That's
what's
gonna
the
be a
logical
fun
thing to do?
conversation.
Exactly, right? So it's like he's I've had I loved okay, when again I did it again when Perdita, Marana, and
Just
Jermaine had their
don't correct
conversation.
yourself next
I
time.
know,
It's
right?
fine.
When we had the conversation in the tavern, in the inn,
Yeah.
the night before he went out to go and process, that for Jermaine, that was
Mhm.
one of the best moments since his creation at the beginning of this campaign. The other was, of course, the first conversation with her, which didn't get
Mhm.
recorded, and I'm still kicking myself that I can't go back to listen to it, even though I know
Which
what
one was that?
happened.
Was that the
So
lunch
good.
one? That was post lunch, right?
Yeah,
Harrison.
it
Yeah.
it was. It was on the way back to our unit house, and had this conversation in the middle of the road, just her and I. It was like,
What?
and
No, I
Jermaine had
would have
this.
tracked it to Titus. You kidding
Yeah,
me?
that was hysterical. That was funny, but at the same time, it was like, okay, whoa, hey, where did that? I didn't even realize that. But yeah, okay. And what does that mean? And then getting to know her, and who knows? There might never anything ever come of it. But that's where his head is.
Right.
she's his teammate, but at the same time, there's this feeling he has for her. And
Yeah.
so here's the conversation Jermaine needs to have with you. It's gonna be
Mhm.
stuff like, do you think she likes me? Like that kind of like two
Oh, right.
teenagers, right? Of some kind of thing,
Oh,
like of
right.
yeah, right. Like I
We're
can't.
gonna have to have
Who
drinks
knows?
with this one.
Who right? Exactly. Who knows? I've just been. I love to play around and think about that stuff, so that'll be
It'll be
fun. I can't wait. There's so much I'm excited about this game. So thank you,
Can we be
Morgan.
the 19th yet?
I could talk with you for hours and hours and hours about this,
Yeah.
but we're gonna have to cut it short somewhere. And so this feels like a good moment to just say that was awesome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing some thoughts about where Paradise is at, what you think about her, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Happy to be here.
What an awesome game we have, huh?
Yeah. Can it be the 19th yet?
I know,
Please.
right? Please,
At
please.
least, at least I have Sunday. That's gonna be my saving grace because I literally was like pacing in the apartment, going, I don't wait. I have to wait 2 weeks. Are you kidding
Right.
me? I'm dying.
It'll be a nice
Yeah.
treat for all of us.
So we'll see you guys next time.
So stay tuned for Actually, I probably will do a recap of that once I hear
Hey.
it.
Yeah. If you want me on again,
Sure,
I'm
we will
ready.
definitely do this again. And thank you for being Jermaine's best friend in the game. And thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for, hey, to all of you watching the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that. I hope to get you see you at a table someday. And
Yep.
please keep rolling 20s.
Please.